Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Amityville School Board meeting today on Wednesday, August 13th. And opening the meeting at 5:36 p.m. Present with me at the meeting right now is myself, Second Vice President Christopher Nearing, Trustee Carol Seehoff, Trustee Megan Messman, Trustee Leslie Kretz. Also have Superintendent Dr. Gina Talbert, Assistant Superintendent Curriculum Instruction Mary Stevens, Interim Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations Richard Snyder, Attorney John Sheehan. Be making a motion to enter into executive session at 5:37. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Carol Seehoff is first, Leslie Kretz is second. All in favor?
Aye.
On the motion, the reason is
reason-
history of a particular person.
Be entering executive session for employment history for a particular person
That's it.
and advice of counsel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We will be expected to reopen at 7:30. Thank you for joining me. To make a motion to reopen the meeting at 7:45. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, thank you for joining us. I'd like you to make notice of the emergency exits to the front and rear of the room. You could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. In attendance with us this evening is myself, Second Vice President Chris Nearing, Trustee Megan Messman, Trustee Carol Seehoff, and Trustee Leslie Kretz, Board President Lisa Johnson, and Board First Vice President Juan Leon were unable to be in attendance due to unforeseen circumstances. We also have ex officio school board members Aaliyah McQueen and Sarai Mullings, as well as Superintendent Dr. Gina Talbert, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction Mary Stevens, Interim Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance Richard Snyder, our Attorney John Sheehan, and officially her first meeting, District Clerk Anne Marie Monahan. So welcome to your first meeting. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Talbert for the presentations.
Thank you so much, Trustee Nearing. At this time, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from our student ex officio board member. And which of you will be giving the report on tonight? Sarai Mullins.
Good evening. This past week, my coworker Abby and I briefly interviewed 5 assistant principal candidates for the high school over the course of 2 days. We asked each candidate the same 4 questions we had carefully developed together, focusing on qualities we believe are essential for assistant principals. After every interview, we used our rubric to rate the candidates in categories such as cultural competence, relationship-driven leadership, equity-focused mindset, and more. Once all interviews were completed, we debriefed with Ms. Stevens, sharing our observations, comparing impressions, and discussing how each candidate's strengths and areas for growth aligned with the school's visions and needs. We were glad and excited to be a part of the interview process and hope that whoever is chosen does an exceptional job serving our school. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarai, and we were delighted to have you and Abby as a part of the process. And we look forward to hearing more student voice in the district-wide initiatives. And so the superintendent's report is brief, of course, but we do want to say good evening to everyone, to the members of the Board of Education once again, to any staff in attendance, our families and community members, as we stand just a few short weeks away from opening school. It's hard to believe, but I want to take this opportunity to share just a few updates and highlights from across the district. As it pertains to our summer projects and facilities, tonight you will hear a brief update on the construction project taking place at Edmund W. Miles Middle School. Our buildings and grounds crew have been hard at work all summer to ensure our facilities are clean, safe, and welcoming for students and staff. We have a building walkthrough with the Board of Education on August 22nd. As it pertains to some of the latest developments, particularly with safety and security, we would like to let everyone know that we have ordered the storage pouches that were approved by the Board of Education in Policy 5695 for student cell phones. We will also be installing, we've also had an implementation meeting with Yonder, the developer of the pouches, along with various administrative personnel who were a part of the meeting. We will be installing sensors in our boiler rooms and basements that will provide us with an early detection system for floods and temperature changes. We will continue with our testing of our water sources for lead for the 25-26 school year. In the area of instruction and planning, our principals, directors, and instructional leaders have been preparing for the year ahead with a strong focus on our 2025-2026 theme, which is recommit, reconnect, and reimagine. This theme will guide our work as we recommit to academic excellence, reconnect with our families and community, and reimagine how we deliver engaging and equitable instruction for all learners. Just earlier this week, we had a delightful opportunity to visit some of the preliminary course professional learning opportunities at Park Elementary with our Summer Professional Learning Institute. I would like to thank Mary Stevens and Ms. Patty Deek for the exceptional leadership they provided in workshops and sessions centered around restorative circles, student engagement, bilingual education utilizing our Savis literacy materials. It was exciting. We didn't want to leave the classrooms. Teachers gave up time on their summer break to be a part of these wonderful learning opportunities. And so we're looking forward to next week where we will continue with the Institute. Our summer programs are finishing up this week. Students in pre-K through 8 worked this summer on developing reading skills in nonfiction and on their higher order thinking skills as they related to an inquiry-based science curriculum. High school students attended core content courses to support them in meeting graduation requirements. We all know that graduation requirements are changing. Next week, the high school will be administering Regent exams on Tuesday and Wednesday. Looking ahead, in the coming weeks, families will receive detailed back-to-school information from our schools, including class and transportation schedules. Our opening day, well, let me rephrase that. Schedules will be available in the parent portal. And if you need help with the parent portal, please let us know so we can ensure everyone has access. Our opening day for students is September 3rd, and we are looking forward to welcoming everyone back for what promises to be an exciting school year. So we want to once again thank our Board of Education, our district leadership team, faculty, staff, and our entire community for your continued partnership in getting behind what is great for kids, because together we're going to build a district where every student can thrive. Thank you to our second Vice President, Trustee Neri.
Thank you. And turning it back over to you once again for the presentations.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will hear from Mary Stevens, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. She has been working diligently along with others throughout the district to provide a professional development plan that will guide excellent pedagogy and increased results district-wide. Ms. Stevens, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Talbert and members of the Board of Education. Tonight, I'm pleased to present the Amityville School District Professional Learning Plan for the 2025, 2026, and the 2026-2027 school years. This plan reflects our district's deep commitment to ensuring that every educator is a lifelong learner, continuously developing their skills to meet the evolving needs of our students. It aligns the growth of our professionals with district, building, and individual goals to improve student achievement. Our plan is built on a comprehensive needs analysis process, which includes an annual district-wide survey and careful review of multiple data sources, including state and local assessment results, student demographics, and emerging educational trends. This ensures that our professional learning offerings are responsive, relevant, and data-driven. This year's survey was completed by teachers and TAs and administrators in the late spring. Those completing the survey indicated their needs in predetermined categories chosen in consideration of the elements that I just mentioned. So some of those would include the new science assessments, the rollout of the Science of Reading program, the shifts in graduation measures. So different things that are going on. AI is one of the trends that we're seeing. Participants also had the opportunity to provide feedback on the needs that were not addressed in the questions that we developed. As part of our plan, every teacher participates in a minimum of 18 professional development hours each year, with 6 embedded in the superintendent's conference and staff development days. The remainder of the time would be completed outside of the contractual school day. We track these hours using the Frontline Education System to ensure accountability and transparency. To meet the diverse learning needs of our staff, we offer a broad menu of professional learning opportunities, from in-district workshops and conferences to professional learning discussion groups, cross-grade articulation meetings, action research projects, peer coaching, school visitation, and asynchronous online courses, as well as advanced certifications such as the National Board Certification. All sessions are scheduled and posted in advance, allowing staff to participate as they are able. The content focus of our professional learning is guided by the needs analysis, survey results, and district priorities. This year's key areas include data-driven instruction, differentiated learning, multilingual learner support, technology integration, curriculum alignment with the next generation learning standards, multi-tiered systems of supports, MTSS, social emotional learning support for students with disabilities, and culturally responsive teaching practices. This year, we have implemented, as Dr. Talbert mentioned, a professional learning summer institute. And I do need to take a moment to thank Patty Deek. Ms. Deek is a teacher at the Edmund W. Miles Middle School and co-chair of the Professional Development Committee. She has volunteered her time to help me put together this institute. She has given many days of her summer in the creation of a schedule of professional learning, of which we are very proud. I cannot thank her enough for taking the lead on the project. The institute is set to begin on Monday, but we did hold a pre-institute this week to accommodate presenters who were unavailable next week. Sessions were developed based on the identified needs and priorities. Our committee spent time this year reviewing our robust mentoring program for new teachers. We added our recommendation that teachers who were previously tenured would not be assigned a mentor. We further recommended the continuation of the one-to-one mentoring matches for first and second year teachers. This program not only supports teacher retention, but also helps maintain high standards of teaching across the district. Finally, through the plan, we ensure compliance with all mandated trainings, covering topics from school violence prevention to child abuse reporting, delivered through the Global Compliance Network, or GCN platform, for efficiency and consistency. The results of our professional learning plan are not static. We continuously evaluate and refine our work. We analyze achievement data, gather participant feedback, and adjust our offerings to align with both district-wide goals and individual teacher needs. This ensures professional learning in Amityville is not just a requirement. It is a catalyst for improved teaching, stronger student outcomes, and a more vibrant learning community. And we thank you for your continued support of our educators' professional growth. Thank you.
Do any trustees have any questions for Ms. Stevens?
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Thank you very much. So the attachment 1, I was just questioning. So that has the annual survey, but I can't see it. So I had jotted down, how are we, it's hard to see without seeing the questions that are asked. I was wondering, how are you incorporating the feedback? Because we had also gotten feedback throughout the year when we had issued other surveys of the timeliness of the professional development and the appropriateness of the professional development. So I think that I'm just kind of reading my notes, but I think you sort of addressed that when you started to speak about even the development of the summer learning
Institute.
So, and is that, so you're starting that next week, you said?
Next week is the official week that we had identified, but when we looked at the needs from the survey, there were some needs where we couldn't get presenters available next week. So we did do a pre-institute that started this week, and we do
Okay.
have a few more sessions that will occur after that official week.
Okay, wonderful. And then I guess just like with the timeliness of the professional development, I think I had read in here that just like at the beginning of each month, everyone's going to be alerted to what's going to be available. Am I remembering correctly?
It's more like a quarterly. So
Quarterly?
they are posted. We do use the frontline system, and users get a reminder every day about what's newly posted. So they are alerted to when those are posted. But we did establish that quarterly system so that we'll post by quarter and make sure that everyone knows what's coming up.
Okay, so that's different than what we had last year.
It was in place last year as well.
Okay, because
Mhm.
I had recalled some feedback that there wasn't enough notice sometimes.
So we are working very hard on the feedback that we receive, and we know that people who have to arrange for childcare or have other commitments, it makes it difficult when things are posted at the last minute.
Right.
So we are inviting presenters to submit their proposals in advance so that we can make sure that quarterly there's a deadline so that there is advance notice.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you. There's an articulation data team meetings.
Mhm.
And at first I looked at it, 'cause I look at it quickly because there's a lot to look at. And I was like, oh, we're missing some grades, but I think you're pairing by transition from building.
Right.
So would it be instead of pre-K to K, now
Oh,
K
it
to
may not have
1?
been updated. Yes.
So it would be, we were gonna, because we're moving K
Yeah.
back to Northeast, so it'll be when the kindergartners transition.
I will make a note to update that.
I know it's so minor, but it just jumped out at me. And the annual trainings, is there something for FERPA that's also annual? Or is that incorporated already in what is here?
I would have to check on that. I know that usually comes out of the HR, but I'll follow up on that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
There any further questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will be bringing a resolution on 8/25, requesting the board's approval on the professional learning plan that Ms. Stevens just presented. At this time, we are going to ask Mr. Snyder if he would come forward. And we have two presentations. The first will be an update on the Edmund W. Miles Middle School construction project, followed by an update on the tax levy. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
Good evening, Board of Education. This is our second construction update for the project that is happening at our middle school. I will tell you right off the top that things are going very well for this construction project. Here in front of you, you just see kind of in text form a summary of all the accomplishments that have happened since the project began. Specifically up on the 300 wing, the classrooms there all have their lights installed with dimmers, and the wall tile priming and painting have all almost been completed in the third floor girls' bathroom. So there's a lot of progress there on the third floor that I'm sure you'll like when we do our walkthroughs. The first floor had a lot of activity since we last met. You know, the wall tile installation in the bathrooms has occurred. Floor tile and the cove basing in the classrooms is currently being installed. They're continuing to install classroom floor tile on the first floor. All of the plumbing, roughing work for all floors has been installed, and you'll see some pictures of that. And light fixtures are now being installed on the first floor. So it's going very well. Mount Olympus is our general contractor. Most of the work is falling on them. They have done outstanding work. They've been very responsive. They've been on time, well-staffed, and they are on budget. And there you see, you know, a list of some of the things that they have accomplished since the project began. The ceiling tile grid installations up on the third floor is the thing that, you know, most recently happened. So again, that third floor is looking very nice, and the picture will say 1,000 words. Seaford Plumbing is the plumbing contractor. They have removed all the old fixtures. They have installed isolation valves on the girls' and boys' first floor bathrooms, and are working their way upward. The rough plumbing has already been installed, as I mentioned just previously, and you'll see pictures of that. And the demolition is completed in the third floor girls' bathroom. Eldor Electric is essentially there to run wiring for the lights, install the light fixtures, and put dimmers on. They have done a lot of work with classroom lighting on the third floor. All the roughing is done, and there is beginning on the first floor. We received all of the fixtures. Which ones we cannot install before school starts are going to be stored in the basement, and they will begin to install those fixtures during off hours while school is in session. Inshallah is our HVAC contractor, and just the way the project was staged, their work will really begin in September to do the HVAC work, and will get very heavy during the summer of 2026. Here are some pictures of third floor classrooms. On the left is pretty much a done classroom with new floor tile, the walls painted, new ceiling grid and ceiling lights. On the right side is the room that was being painted at that point in time, and some of the base trim work was missing in that picture, but is now installed. This is room 303. This room is done except for the trim work between the floor and the wall. This is room 301 that is still being worked on, being painted. Floor tile is installed, and again, that trim work is yet to be installed. It's the third floor girls' bathroom where the floor is being prepped and the walls are being prepped for the tile. And you can see some of that plumbing roughing work there in the walls. This is also a third floor girls' bathroom where you're seeing just more prep work of the floors, the walls, and the plumbing work. This is the second floor girls' bathroom where they just finished the roughing. You can see the floor still has to be installed there too. Second floor boys' bathroom is still generally in the same condition as the girls, where they're still, prepping the walls and need to work on the floors. So there's certainly some work on the second floor that needs to be done. This is room 105. The picture on the left is prepping the floor for the tile. Picture on the right is a little bit, kind of the same thing, just showing the floor after the prep, but that's a room that they're working on as we speak. Picture on the left is room 123. Picture on the right is a nice picture of the wall tile in the bathroom. I don't think the picture is showing how vibrant that color is on the wall. It looks a lot better in person. This is the first floor bathroom, another picture of that. You can sort of see the contrast of the red and the gray, the Amityville colors. This is the first floor girls' bathroom. Again, they're completing some of the wall tile on the left, and on the right is some more prep work. This is room 107 showing the floor tile being installed. On the left is what we tried to do is get a nice close-up picture of a completed bathroom wall and wall tile. Again, I don't think the picture does it justice, so we're looking forward to you seeing that during the walkthroughs. And on the right, that is a completed classroom with nicely shined floors that we're also looking forward to showing you. In terms of budget, nothing has changed. All the contractors are on budget. There has been no talk of change orders. The allowances are still fully in place. So financially, we are very well positioned in this project. The invoices are starting to come in, as I mentioned the last time we spoke, so the expenditures are starting to creep up, but with no talk of change orders and the allowances in place financially, we are in very good position with this project so far. More work is going to take place as the school year starts during off hours, and next summer will be a busy summer, but right now we are looking very, very good. Questions on this one?
Yes. I see there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in the bathrooms. Is there the expectation that they will be completed by the start of school?
And turned over by the time school starts.
Okay.
It surprises me seeing this a lot in my career, how quickly it comes together.
And then same with the classrooms,
The classrooms, I think, are in better shape than the bathrooms because I think it was a little less labor intensive, but the classrooms are all ready to be turned over by the time students are in session.
Okay, so as far as you're aware, any of the work that's being done is not going to cause any interruption with
As of
instruction at
Monday,
all?
that was the last thing on their mind. Yeah.
Okay,
No, sir.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, I had a similar question because the pictures are lovely and I thank you for the
Thank you,
update.
yeah.
But just to understand the percent complete, because from this, I don't know how many classrooms are pending. Like, so what's the percent complete with
Can
the,
I get that to you in your update? I don't have that percentage of classrooms done complete, but I can come up with that with Mr. Galena.
okay, because with that, then you can kind of validate their schedule and can they actually complete it before we need to open the classroom
Yeah.
doors?
The construction meeting notes, they're on
Okay.
target to complete based on the construction schedule we put before them, ma'am.
Okay, so maybe you could share like the latest meeting notes just to
Sure.
the board?
I'll
to-
I'll actually send you that report on Friday.
Okay, that would be, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, that'd be great.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
Okay.
So as Mr. Snyder is transitioning to the tax levy presentation, just as a reminder, last year, we did issue a notice to the community regarding the tax equalization and the support from the town of Babylon in terms of legal pursuit to balance that out for our Amityville residents. So tonight, we are presenting you with an update on where we are with our tax rate.
So in terms of the tax rates, I thought I'd just go back to basics and just go through the process of how tax rates are set for school districts that geographically reside within one township, which is not the case for Amityville. The tax rate's a very somewhat simple formula. You take the tax levy, which is set here in this room through the tax cap process, and you divide it by the assessed value that is provided to you by the town. It's a real simple way to look at it. Again, we determine the tax levy, and the townships, in this case Babylon and Oyster Bay, provide us with their assessed values. But because we are in multiple townships, we have to take a bit of a calculation detour to account for the fact that Babylon Town assesses their residents in a very different legal method than Oyster Bay. And your assessment, which is on your tax bill, is the figure that is used to determine how much school tax you pay. So how the townships assess you is important. And in calculating a tax rate, we can't simply add two assessments together for Oyster Bay and Babylon because they're not like-kind figures. They're arrived undergoing in a completely different political and mathematical process. So to account for the fact that we have Oyster Bay Township, which is assesses one way, and Babylon, which assesses another, we have to take those differing numbers and convert them to a figure called full value. This is New York State legislation I'm now referring to. And that full value becomes the basis for how much of our tax levy we assign to Oyster Bay and how much we assign to Babylon. And we need to do that to equalize, because that's what they call these figures, equalization rates, because the assessments are so different. So since the denominator in that formula, I'm talking to my math teachers now, is so different for each township, we have to offset the numerator, which is the tax levy, to equalize it so that the process looks and appears to be fair. Now, there's certainly litigation going on about whether the equalization rates are in fact doing that, whether it's related to the assessments, and there's legislation about that. So theoretically, the equalization rate is supposed to take the assessment process for Babylon and the assessment process for Oyster Bay, which is Nassau County, and equalize them by taking the tax levy and shifting it between the two tax rate formulas. So once we get that full value figure, we then allocate the levy, and then we run two separate tax rate calculations. The formula now is in two pieces. We take the tax levy and we're going to multiply it by a percentage that we arrive at using the equalization rate. And we do that for Oyster Bay, and then we do that for Babylon. But keep in mind, because this question has already popped up in central office, the total tax levy between Oyster Bay and Babylon is the tax cap. All we're really working with here is the denominator, which are different assessed values, and then taking our tax cap and shifting it between the two jurisdictions so that things are equal in the eyes of the state. So this is the formula. The assessed value for Oyster Bay provided to us by the town is $2,130,000. The equalization rate is 0.14%, which we arrive at $1.5 billion. And then on the Babylon side, 20.8 million in assessed value. Notice the total difference in those figures is divided by 0.67 to arrive at 3.1 billion. Those equalization rates are provided to us by the New York State Department of Tax and Finance. We have to use them, and this is the process that happens every year. We then take that $4.6 billion figure and use it as a way to allocate the tax levy. So 32.86% of the full value is Oyster Bay. 67.14% belongs to Babylon. And now we're going to take our levy and we're going to assign the numerators in those formulas those numbers. The reason we have to do this is if we just simply added those assessed values together and just did one uniform tax rate, it would take 9.3% of the levy and give it to Oyster Bay, and 90% of it and give it to Babylon, which would be wholeheartedly unfair. So the
Can I have a motion to approve agenda item 2A, 2, 3, 6, 10, 13, 14, and 18?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Uh, What's it? Oh.
I'm
All right. Has been approved 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 2B? Can I do them all together? 2B, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I'd like to take the code of conduct separately.
Okay.
So is this for first reading or is this for approval?
Well, they're all first
Okay, I
read.
guess
So it's
I'll-
all first reading, so there's no motion required.
Okay.
Well, okay, so we need a final on B2.
Okay, so it's amend.
No, so you go for the first reading and then after the first reading, then you'll go for the approval. So after this, everything's the first reading. And then you go for the approval after the first reading. So you have one reading and then that will be the only reading, and then you'll go for approval after the first reading.
Okay, we have any discussion on the following items?
So, I mean, we talk about it in a policy meeting, right? So, I think the mission statement was here. Again, Lisa actually requested that this come forward, even though we had last revised it this past December. But because again, we were reviewing the superintendent goals for the upcoming year, so she just wanted to bring this forward again. There was no changes presented from the policy committee. This is the first reading of the regulation for the cell phone policy. So it had just provided some more definition as to how we were going to address if a student needed to make a phone call, some additional communication information for parents so that if they needed to, now that everyone's cell phones are going to be put away throughout the duration of the day, to have the phone numbers and cell phone, emails, right there in the regulation. So this is the first reading and it would be combined right into the code of conduct. And again, also the wellness policy was updated by the wellness committee throughout the year. I think that there was these red lines in here still, Dr. Talbert. Were they going to be removed, like the NES 1, FR4?
So I'll clarify, prior to this revision, there were several red lines of
Like
items to consider.
Right, right.
And so we removed all of those, but we left the identifying indicators that are corresponding standards for food, nutrition, and health and wellness. Those are just the standards. So the red lines that we spoke about in the policy committee meeting, those have been removed. And a consensus was reached that we would bring the wellness policy for first and final reading, and then allow because it needs annual approval, and then allow the wellness committee to go back and insert the information that the red lines were suggesting we consider. So the two experts who were working with us from Western Suffolk BOCES had listed red lines and said you should consider and we recommend.
Yes.
And so we took those out
Right.
and said we would approve it as is.
Right.
And then the wellness committee would go back and make those
For
recommendations
the
and then
next
bring.
revision.
Yeah.
And then I guess we just have like, there's two fill in the blanks of just like the district wellness committee is supervised by, that's in two places.
Yes, so Ms. Monahan and I spoke today
Okay.
and she was making the insert of Evan Farkas, Director of Health, PE and Athletics. That's who the
Okay,
board
great.
approved on July 8th to chair the committee.
Okay, great. And then as far as the code of conduct goes, I mean, I'm obviously not gonna reiterate the policy committee discussion, but I did have a lot of comments. And there was I guess the thought that we didn't necessarily have time to update the code of conduct before the start of the school year. We were just going to go forward and insert the regulation for the cell phone policy. But I do want to ask again that we have more board members. There is a reference in here that the I can pull up all my comments, but the responses for the disruptive behavior might differ for grades K through 3. But we don't have tables of what would be applicable for, I guess, actually pre-K to 3. So I had hoped that at a minimum, we could do that because it seems like we should be able to extrapolate out the insubordinate behavior, the guidance interventions, and the range of possible disciplinary response fairly readily for the younger elementary students to provide clarity for parents, quite frankly, and for everyone that has to use this code of conduct as a tool. On top of that, there's in here taking away recess, which I had brought up, and I really hope that we can, as a board, think about that more. It's actually not in line with the new wellness policy, because the new wellness policy says kids really need a minimum of 20 minutes of recess. So to not have that identified as a potential response, instead just have the detention listed, and not the taking away the recess. And the policy committee meeting was 2 hours long, and this was the bulk of the conversation. So I'm certainly not trying to go through all of my comments on the code of conduct, but those are just bigger ones that feel as though they could be readily addressed in the version of the code of conduct for the 25-26 school year.
Any further comments?
When did you meet with the policy committee for the code of conduct?
2 weeks ago, because
Oh, 2
last
weeks
week I
ago.
was away. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. I wasn't able to attend, but
I think you were there.
oh no, I was originally not able to attend. That's what it was. So since this is the code of conduct is listed as revised, does this go up for approval now as is? Or is it go up for
So the code of conduct, if I may, was approved at the July 8th as an annual approval. And from that time, the policy committee revised it with 2 revisions. One is on page 7, giving a description of the role of the DASA coordinators and adding the 5695R to the code of conduct so that the regulation would be made available to all parents and students. There was robust conversation about some additional revisions to consider. Because of the necessity to have this ready for the opening of school, we were requesting for the board to adopt the revised code of conduct. And as we have been meeting with the shared decision-making teams to bring back those concerns that the policy committee brought to our attention, regarding some of the things Trustee Messman mentioned tonight, then we would like the opportunity to have those robust discussions with the stakeholders and bring back some of the feedback for further revisions as necessary.
So what do you suspect the timeline of that sort of feedback would be from your discussions with the others?
A couple of months. I would say schools opening in September. We're going to be focusing on the 5695 cell phone. It's going to take a lot of attention, and then the shared decision maker committees can evolve into this conversation. So I would say we would need a couple of months.
Okay, because I had also, I must look at my red lines, like I had also hoped that we would talk about the response time for two parents, right? And that was something that, and I don't even know if we had communication yet with John to get John's input on what we can put in here as far as our turnaround time to involving parents when there are infractions, to ensuring that parents are alerted as soon as possible. Um, So,
I've not had those conversations as a follow-up with the legal
Okay.
department as of yet. Ms. Monahan and I have been collaborating on where we are, making sure we're on the same page with what was said at the policy committees to bring it to the board at large. And then, of course, that would be a next step for
And
us.
so there are some requirements at law for suspensions, out of school suspensions that have specific requirements for parental notification. Other parental notification for other infractions or other penalties would be discretionary. But at a minimum, for the students have to receive notice of the infraction and an opportunity to be heard before the implementation of any penalty.
okay, because, okay, so I don't know what the requirement is, but I'm not sure that, I
Well, the
guess,
the requirements, whatever requirements
So-
there are at law would be in your policy already.
24 hours or, you don't know?
Yeah, so the for out of school suspension,
Mhm.
so it must be reasonably calculated to be within 24 hours. But typically, unless the student the student is a continuing disruption to the building, the notification comes before the implementation of the suspension.
Right.
Yeah, there's a informal conference before the suspension. If the student constitutes a continuing disruption, then it's by a means reasonably calculated to be within 24 hours.
We also do have an extensive red line copy of the code of conduct that legal has reviewed. We shared it with the board some time back, so we can revisit that as well. It's an extensive red line that legal went through our code of conduct in 23, 24. So we do have that also as a reference that we can go back to review.
Okay, that's not what we reviewed at the policy committee meeting though. So I'm just looking at this version, right? Right, yeah.
Certainly, if
Um,
you have any questions, feel free to ask and we'll provide you them.
Okay, so I will, I guess, follow up from the policy committee meeting with the questions that we had hoped to get to legal.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further comments? Okay, so can I put these 4 items up together? And to approve the code of conduct with the addition of the regulation for 5695. So that's as a part of the code of conduct. And then we can revisit the code of conduct following that. Okay. I have a motion to approve items 2B 1, 2, 3, and 4. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun. Aye for me as well. All right, can I have a motion for, oh, and just wanted to note, as of approximately 8:33, the internet service was restored and the meeting has been streaming since then. Can I have a motion for item 2C1?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Can I have a motion for item 2C2?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
What are the names? Do you want to read them off or?
Yes, maybe Dr. Talbert, if you can just inform the community on the process of renewing these candidates?
Sure, this resolution is for the renewal of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. Last year, there were 17 members who agreed to serve in this capacity. And the business office reached out to those 17 members, and everyone responded favorably, except for 4. We did not hear back from 4 of those members. So this year,
5,
5,
17.
17.
And we have 12 listed.
So last year, we're showing,
We approved 17 last year, I think.
right? And there were 4 we didn't hear from. Okay, so let's go through these. So this year, the board is looking to appoint Mikhail Ankudovich, Kathia Avino, Winsome Brown Cook, Richard Cronin, Rachel Edwards, Melissa Fairley, Deborah McQuillan, Kathleen Nugent, Christopher Papil, Cheryl Quintine Best, Dina Rosenberg, and Kathleen Ward, who responded favorably that they would like to continue a second year. It looks like there may be a name missing as I'm looking back at last year's list. Diane Eglinger.
Okay.
She responded?
That's what I was wondering.
Yes, here's a check.
Okay.
Diane Eglinger. So we would need to amend the resolution 2C2 to add number 13. Diane Eglinger.
Okay, and then you said that we had received responses back from the other 4 that that did not want to continue. They were not. able to
No,
submit.
I could not confirm that we received responses back saying no.
Oh, we did not receive.
They didn't respond at all.
So we're not sure that we actually connected with them. That's what I was hoping. I just want to know that they actually know that they could continue if they want to, and we actually made contact with
I
them.
have to double check them, but we sent one email and then we sent a follow. Sorry, we sent one email with the invitation and we followed up with another asking for a response by the deadline.
Okay, but not everyone is great with their emails, so I mean, it could have gotten lost.
Would we have the opportunity to, if any of these members express their interest further, we could add them later on?
We'll reach out to them if that's
Okay.
what the board would like us to do, the 4 or the 5 that did not respond, and then if we have new additions, we can bring them on another agenda.
Thank you. I guess just a phone call if the email wasn't working, just to make sure that nobody gets upset that they didn't know that it was resuming and they weren't asked to continue.
Okay, can I have just make a motion to amend the agenda to add that one community member.
She didn't respond.
Oh, so we need to follow up.
Okay.
I yield to the clerk.
Maybe. We'll pull all them that didn't-
Well, they went
yeah,
all of
all
them.
them that didn't respond.
Okay, so we'll,
Just give 'em a call.
we won't make any amendment to the agenda since we do not have confirmation.
Correct. You're just on discussion right now.
Okay,
Okay.
So we're just gonna ask that phone calls be made to the 5 community members that we don't know
Yes,
or
yes.
aware or not aware.
okay.
Thank you.
And I would just like to thank these community members for being willing to provide their assistance and time to the district to help us with this important task. All right, okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Aye. Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add item 2C3, the creation of the Director of Curriculum position?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is added 4-0. Okay, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education hereby creates the position of Director of Curriculum with a salary range of 150,000 to 170,000, effective immediately. Do I have any discussion on this item?
Well, it's very exciting news, right?
I would have to agree. We have been
So we-
trying to,
Very well needed as well.
So
Yeah.
so I guess with the accountant position in the budget that we are not filling, and with the savings from changing from an assistant super of HR to a director of HR and some additional Title III, I think you mentioned, we're able to create this position, which is really exciting.
Sorry, was there a motion and a second on this? Was there a second for this motion?
He read the motion so far.
Right.
I read the motion to amend it. I didn't,
Just to,
I didn't, sorry, go ahead.
okay, so this is a motion to amend the agenda?
We did that already.
Yeah, we
You
vote,
did-
yeah.
You did that one already?
Yes.
You moved that on. Now there was you read out the motion. Was there a second?
Second.
All right, so then you had the discussion. and now you
Okay.
have to vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3A? Should I do these separately?
Yes.
Okay, and yeah, okay, so I have a motion for agenda item 3A1.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I have a motion to table agenda item 3A2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, aye. Motion passes 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3A3?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Can I,
Oh, sorry, discussion?
I'm sorry, I will approve it, I guess, but with the, like, an edit. Can we approve it with an edit? Or do we have to come back and bring it again? It's like the district safety team for 25, 26. I wasn't on the district safety team.
So we had a discussion with President Johnson and First Vice President Juan Leon regarding the safety team committee members for 25, 26. And in lieu of bringing a separate resolution to list their names, they were promoting approval of the plan and the committee members embedded in the plan. So for the district safety-wide team, was it not Trustee Messman and Trustee Seehoff? You were not on the district safety team. You were on the,
It seems like that there were two separate.
There's the safety team and then there's the health and safety committee.
you were on the Health and Safety Committee. Okay.
Yes.
So would you like your names removed from
Well,
the
is it-
district safety team?
Well,
committee?
is this saying that we put this plan together? Or is this saying that we're on the district safety team for next year?
This is saying that you had input to the development of the plan and that you would be a member of the committee next year for this school year.
Okay.
So does this mean as part of her other committee last year,
It
that
was
that
separate.
input has factored into this? Is that what this is saying?
I would say Trustee Messman has been a great contributor to items in the plan because they did parallel from time to time.
Parallel.
But this is saying that she would serve as a member of this district-wide safety committee. And if that is not the intent, then we can certainly remove the names prior to approval.
I'm not too clear on, is this saying that she helped develop it, or it's saying that she's part of this team for this current school year?
Part of the team, part of the district safety committee team for 25, 26.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Do you accept that assignment?
This was the quarterly meetings, I think I had asked you. Is that the same? Does this team meet quarterly?
They meet mostly quarterly, but they meet regularly throughout the school year. And then the dates are disseminated to the members. Mr. Baronas was the vanguard, the leader of the committee. As of now, it will be under Mr. Snyder until we're able to discuss further our safety officer leadership needs.
And I believe there were sections of this that are fluid, that we don't have to continue to approve it, like there's the pages with different contacts, like those just get updated.
Yes, those pages are updated, and those pages are pages 8, 9. Do you-
I did update them for the most recent contact list.
Mr. Snyder did update those contact emails, phone numbers, and names.
Right, but I
Okay.
believe they were saying, so say somebody in that list resigns from their position or whatever, that we're able to just update, we don't have to come back and reapprove it, correct?
The title is being approved. As the names come in and out, they can be reapproved.
Okay,
No, I'm not trying to make it a big deal. So then on the required action where it says a district-wide school safety team was appointed by the Board of Education. Now that date says September 16th, 2024. So is that date going to be today's date when we accept this plan? Are we appointing this district-wide school safety team? And I'm assuming everybody on this table besides myself knew that they were on this table.
I would recommend that we change that date to today, which would be August 13th, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
So you're not amending the resolution, you're just amending the underlying document. So this would be approved as amended.
Yes. Approved as amended.
Okay, so do I have to make it, we already,
You don't have to
Have a
change the
motion on the
motion, you're
table.
just asking for, so you had a motion, you had discussion, you're not changing, you're not amending the motion, you're just calling for a vote for approval of the district-wide safety and emergency management plan as amended. Because you amended it on the floor.
okay. So where we vote for agenda item 3A3 as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I have a motion for agenda item 3A4. Any discussion on this item?
No, thank you.
Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Can I do 3B1 through 14 together? Okay, can I have a motion for item 3B1 through 3B14? Any discussion on these items?
No.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I have a motion to amend the agenda for item 3B15 to add the name of Mary Frances Hopkins as acting assistant principal at Amityville Memorial High School.
So moved. Second.
John, do I have to give any further details on the appointment?
No.
Okay. Any discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 4-0. Welcome to your new position, Ms. Hopkins. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do with our students now at the high school, moving from your position in the middle school. Congratulations. Can I do items 3B16 through 3B121 together?
Forgot to answer the question. on this.
Well, we can still discuss, just if your vote would be any different for any of the items.
Right. Second question.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can I do all these together?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry for that interruption.
it's okay. So what was that? 121. Can I have a motion for agenda items 3B 16 through 3B 121?
Second?
Any discussion on these items?
No.
Um, All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to add item 3B 122?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
I think
Do
you have
it-
to read.
Okay, sorry, that would be important. To add item 3B 122, which would be, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Gina Talbert, the Board of Education approves a leave of absence without pay for Mary Frances Hopkins from her position of math teacher for the period of August 14th, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. August 18th, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. Did I have a first to amend the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3B 122? Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion to table agenda items 3C1 and 3C2?
Enter? Oh,
Yeah.
Second.
Any discussion on these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3C2, 3, 4, and 5? What is it? Oh, roll call. Okay, so we'll do those separately. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3C3?
Motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Myself, Chris Nearing is aye. Trustee Seehoff? Trustee Messman?
Aye.
And Trustee Kretz?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3C, 4, and 5?
Second.
Any discussion on these items?
I guess I just would query the status of the corrective action report. I think that there was initial time frame, but then there was some discussion by email to try to turn around the corrective action. And I know it wasn't required, but the board asked for a corrective action report to just identify what steps are being taken for each observation from the audit report.
It's my recollection. I just asked for 90 days to put that together at most, and the 90
At
days.
most,
Yeah, at most.
And that's with implementation or?
90 days to write it, to give you the plan. The timeline for implementation is part of the plan. Some of them are already going to be implemented and others might take the rest of the school year, but I have
Okay,
to look
that's
at it.
right. Okay.
But beyond one school year, the only one that we might have a problem with that I have to discuss internally is the fixed asset appraisal report. There are some issues with that, but the rest are either going to be implemented in the short term. Some might require the rest of the school year.
Okay, so we might see that in the middle of October, like the latest,
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Can I have a motion for agenda item 3D1?
Motion?
Any discussion on this item?
Yes. I was trying to, in all my last minute scramble, as always, before a board meeting, look back to see what was identified as missing from the treasurer's report to see if it was different and included this time around. And was it? Was there anything? Because I thought the R.S. Abrams had identified that there was missing.
Yeah, we have already implemented some of those actions where they said that you needed trial balances and appropriation status and revenue status for all funds. So we implemented that with the report
That's
in front of you. So you have more in your treasurer's report now than you had previously, but keep in mind, we said that June is still open for audit, so those reports will change, but you get an idea of what it will look like going forward.
Okay, so that's why you were saying open for audit. I thought you were saying that too on the appropriations reports that you had given.
They're accurate as of the date you see them printed for June, but some of that activity will change because we're still booking transactions and we're still going to undergo an audit, and they typically have transactions they want booked. So my point is it will change, and the date of that report, we also didn't have pension expenses for TRS book because we didn't get the number until earlier this week.
Okay,
it-
because there was quite I'm not looking at it, but everything that was appropriated maybe was with, associated with the pension.
Yeah,
There was
that's a
decent
big
amount of
number, ma'am,
money.
so it's
with
going
a
to show.
decent amount of money
Yes,
that was
yeah.
appropriated.
That's why I'm providing it to you, but know that especially that general fund appropriation status is going to change as more transactions come in for BOCES and for TRS, and then there'll be some, what we call accruals that the auditors will have us book, and even on the revenue side, some state aid comes in mid-June also, so some things will change, but we provided them to you and gave you all funds now and gave you the trial balances as per that R.S. Abrams report.
Right, right.
Yeah, it makes it seem like we have a lot of free money, but it'll go down. It's that
Um,
big.
so because I think, going hand in hand with looking at the policies, and we were talking, I think, about purchasing, as I'm flipping through this, KJ's Heroes jumped out at me. And it jumped out at me because we were talking about, where we're procuring things from and entities, and I didn't know that that facility existed because it burned down several years ago.
I think they're operating out of a different facility.
He has a different facility?
Yeah, he might be, I'm not one, yeah, I don't know the particulars of it, but he has been operating in a different capacity.
Okay. So we probably have that on file since we're buying from that entity.
They would have to provide us with the appropriate documentation to become a vendor, which would include all their paperwork and
Right, right.
I-9s and things like that.
Because that's that 6,000 section that we're tackling next, right? In the policy committee?
With
I think-
purchasing, yeah,
yes.
that is on the agenda. Yeah.
Yes, okay. And then, I saw it under the federal funds, so how does that work? You can put that under the federal
Federal
funds?
purchasing generally gets approved through a grant application, and as long as your grant gets approved, you're authorized to purchase these things. There are other federal procurement rules that you have to follow, but in general, with the grant approval of a grant, that as your guide for purchasing, you're still obligated for General Municipal Law 103 and board policy, but there's other hoops and regulations you have to jump through with the federal fund, that being the grant and other federal regulations related to fixed assets.
So you're saying that the grant could define that you could buy food through the federal money?
Through things like travel and conference, yeah, you can buy food through federal funds.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I know it was answered in an email I sent, but regarding the remaining balance for the class of 2025, is it common that the graduating classes don't use up the entirety of the funds that they've raised? And
It's an excellent question, sir. It's common enough that the state in their handbook for student activities provides till, I believe it's December 31st. I know, I think I sent it in
Yes.
the email for the student government and the building principal to meet to decide where that money will go. Sometimes the clubs, when they leave and they have leftover balances, they will make a request to the building principal saying, we want it to go here. And that becomes an internal discussion, but if there's no instructions by the class advisors, then the building principal has to work with the student government to decide where that money will go.
okay, is there any kind of oversight throughout the year while they're building this account to try to use it by the end of the year, since seeing as these classes are raising the money and
It really, student activities functions under like an instructional umbrella. It's supposed to teach the students how to run a makeshift business and how to fundraise, how to purchase things, how to keep a checkbook and keep a budget. So it does kind of fall under the building principal, the teacher advisors, and the treasurers of the club to monitor these things and to make sure that monies are being spent and procedures are being followed. And, really towards the end of the year, if there's money left over, a savvy student treasurer will look at that and say, well, maybe we can do something with this money that meets the objectives and the charter of our club and use it up. It's just my impression that most of the time doesn't happen. So it's left to the building principal to work with student activities to decide where that money will go to. And it's typically other clubs.
okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I have a motion for agenda item 3E1.
Motion.
That's A, B, and C.
Oh, yes, 3E1, A, B, and C. The first was
Still
trustee
motion.
Metzger. What's that?
Motion.
Motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first? Okay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye, motion passes 4-0. Moving on to old business. I have, I think, one old business item right now, be the culvert project that's happening in front of the high school. Is there any plan to kind of broadcast to the community on how that whole transportation aspect is gonna factor in at the beginning of the year?
Yes, and I'll ask Mr. Snyder to, of course, extend the conversation. We have been having meetings and a transportation plan has been devised for this purpose. We have been talking with our village officials as well as to when the plan will be released and the routes that will be required for buses, vehicles entering and exiting the high school.
I think it was the intention to finalize that plan. I know our director of transportation is still working with the building administration to figure out how the buses will queue. And we could potentially be ready for a presentation on the 25th to sort of say where we are with that, or at least give you a report to say how we're going to be handling the busing.
Yeah, I would think it might not be complete at that point, but if we have some sort of an update being as that's our last meeting before school starts.
Absolutely.
And I know drop off at any school is always in ideal conditions is a struggle. But I will note that I did notice an improvement last year. But I could only imagine what it's going to look like this year with the main road to the school being severely hindered.
Do you know if that plan includes removing the concrete planters along Shore Drive around Avon Lake?
I'd have to ask them. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
if you could do that,
The-
thank you.
The concrete planters along shore.
Yes.
Yeah, they're restricting, they basically Lake Drive. Yeah, it's around Avon Lake. It's in the northwest part of the parking lot.
Because that was initially a request that they be removed temporarily
He said no,
to gain access for our buses.
Okay.
the mayor.
We will update you on the 25th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have old
I
business?
just had one thing. Dr. Talbot, you mentioned the SCOPE program at one point. Have we looked into that? Have you looked into that?
So there was the initial exploration for the after-school programs. They do come at a cost. And that was prior to us realizing that we would receive an extension on some after-school funding that will allow us to operate some after-school programming. Ms. Stevens, could you expound on that just a bit?
Yes, we did receive an additional year of funding from the Empire Grant, which funds our Leaders of Tomorrow program. So that would be at no cost to families, and we postponed our looking into the scope at that rate.
Thank you for the information. Thanks.
That's great information. That's great news. I had two things jotted down. The hard copy calendar, has that gone out to print and set for mail?
The hard copy calendar is with syntax. During our last review, there were a few items that had to be edited, but it is with them and it should be going to print in the next day or two.
Okay, great. And then I think our student board members had discussed possibly sending out hard copy schedules. So is that something that we're going to be implementing? I think they had brought that up at the last board meeting when we talked about.
So it is the practice in both buildings to print schedules for the first day, but not to mail them home because any last minute changes would require them to reprint anyway. So they won't be sent home, but there are stations on the first day of school where students
So
could
they
pick
receive
their
it the
schedules.
first.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. For old business, no. Fine. Thank you.
There's no other old business. We'll move on to new business. I see on here we have superintendent goals listed. Dr.
Sure.
Talbert?
Ready? Yes. Each board member should have a draft. When we copied it, the word draft did not go through on the copy, but it is the draft that you received on last Friday. And so these goals that we're looking at, they are aligned to the NISBA Superintendent Evaluation Instrument and to what we're hoping to develop as our draft strategic plan that would inform our steps and visions for the next 5 years for the district. So under district leadership and vision, what you see listed this year marks the launch phase of our 2025 through 2030 strategic plan. And we're really turning the vision into action this year. Our first year was met with the $3.6 million deficit. The second year was met with stabilizing the district, This year, we're looking to have more action and implement more key initiatives across 5 priority areas that I will share with you. So as a result of this, our building leaders will align their action plans to our strategic priorities, and we'll track this progress using our strategic plan with some scorecards for Q2 for the mid-year evaluation and progress monitoring, and then, of course, for the end of the year. So transparency, of course, will be the key through this process, providing our board with regular updates and providing our families and staff with regular updates. So goal number 2 will then center around student growth and achievement. So we're taking a comprehensive approach to learning, supporting students academically while preparing them for the world they enter in. New York State Department of Education is coming down or has come down with some key initiatives that districts are responsible to implement. One of those is the science of reading, which I am so pleased that Mary Stevens implemented this summer to introduce our staff and students to materials and the inquiry approach, the critical thinking that's going to be required with the pedagogy as well as the learning aspect. She mentioned earlier about the trend of artificial intelligence, and under student achievement, we have to integrate that. Thanks to the board for approving the policy. We are now looking at a regulation that we'll be bringing to the policy committee. But our plans are to introduce AI literacy primarily with capstone projects and portfolios in grades 5 and 8. Also developing those age-appropriate guidelines that will allow us to move forward with that. We are looking at a curriculum, and many of our teachers in different aspects have been implementing it, but now we have to hone in the ethical and safe and effective use of AI across the district. Another initiative that New York State Department has employed is the Portrait of a Graduate. And last year, the Portrait of a Graduate was presented to the Board of Education via a curricular presentation. So students will be building portfolios that demonstrate skills like critical thinking, communication, global citizenship, and culminating, as we said, in those capstone experiences in grades 5 and 8. Under student growth and achievement will certainly be the focus on literacy and math. And as we said, expanding the science of reading and strengthening our kindergarten readiness skills, fully implementing a curricula that we already have, which is Reveal Math, and using that iReady data to guide the instruction and the interventions. How will we measure that? We will be measuring that through our iReady growth data, student work samples, and evidence from classroom observations. When we look at the third goal centered around district culture and learning environment, we're looking at not totally abandoning ruler, but looking to embed the SEL practices of recognizing emotions, understanding the causes, labeling emotions, expressing emotions, regulating those emotions through that practice in a multi-tiered system of support. So we are presently looking at our PPS staff. We're looking at how to roll this out. Now, this summer, our intentions were to pilot Second Step and to pilot character counts in our summer programming. So we will be piloting some of those curricular initiatives this year while we are still embedding the practices of ruler in our efforts to support our students emotionally. As it pertains to goal number 4, with our family and community engagement, we're looking for higher family participation in events, and some of that, of course, may be via Zoom or live stream, workshops, district forums. We understand that with the cell phone, we will be communicating regularly with our families to support them through the transition and process. Outreach more with our multilingual families, leveraging improved translation services, ensuring that we have those in place with strategic social media use, and tracking those engagement metrics such as event attendance, looking at our Parent Square analytics, and the survey feedback that we're reaching our families effectively. And then the fifth area of that strategic plan centers around operations, finance, and facilities. We are conducting a district-wide enrollment and demographic study to guide our future facilities planning and staffing decisions. Much of that came out of preliminary discussions from the CBAC and the Board of Education. The 5-year facilities plan will be updated, submitted to NICET, along with the building condition surveys and the tech infrastructure upgrades. Our 26-27 budget will reflect these strategic plan priorities while we're maintaining our fiscal health. And we're going to measure that by our audit results and our compliance reports. So of course, this will strengthen our long-term vision and our operational effectiveness, which has continued to be a focus of our cabinet and our leadership team. Because if we can shore up our operational focus, we can close gaps, prevent waste, and ensure that we are being more proficient stewards of every area that we are responsible for. So moving forward this year, I am proposing those goals in the areas of district leadership and vision, student growth and achievement, and literacy and math improvement, district culture and learning environment, family and community engagement, and the operations, finance, and facilities. That concludes my sharing.
I have a request. Mary Stevens, do you think you could provide, because I know that science of reading is really become huge, New York City, the tri-state area. Can you prepare a presentation to just give the community and the Board of Education an idea of what it's all about? You know, not the next board meeting, but perhaps over the next couple of months, and all the components? Thank you.
Certainly.
Any other discussion on this item?
Yeah, I have some comments. Okay, so these are the first time we're seeing the goals. And I don't are we going to, I guess we don't formally accept them, or do we formally accept them? And we don't have two board members, we don't have a full board here. So, the first red line that I just wanted to confirm, we're saying that we're going to use the same superintendent tool from last year, right? The evaluation tool. Is that what?
I think that has to be decided on in September, by September 10th.
Yes, by September 10th, it has to be filed with the district clerk.
Yes.
Okay, so is that what's referenced at the top, the NISBA superintendent evaluation instrument?
I presented these in alignment with what we used last year.
Okay, so then we would be prepared to just file that. We could just do it now if we're in agreement, right? If the board's in agreement, okay. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just getting ahead of.
I think it would be a good idea to have full board.
To just,
Considering we have another meeting before that deadline, so
so on
easy enough.
August 25th, we'll just confirm that, yes, we're all in agreement to use that tool, and we can just go forward with
yeah. Can we have
file
that
by the deadline.
on the next agenda? Yeah,
Sure,
please, thank you.
okay. Is it formal? And That was,
Just to approve it?
Yes, I would recommend that it be approved.
okay, that it'll be a
so that-
formal approval.
yeah.
Thank you. Is it the same with the goals, John? That we formally approve the goals? when
That
we-
policy up as
Oh,
we
you're
speak.
looking at it right now. Thank you. Okay. So the way it's written for the 5-year plan, it seemed like it's begin implementation. So I guess we don't have a 5-year plan. And when I think of a 5-year plan, I think of it as like a collaborative effort, even with the community, to define the priorities and everybody to understand what's the goals for each year. So perhaps I'm just misreading the intent of the goal when you say begin implementation of a strategic plan.
So beginning implementation of a strategic plan notes stakeholder communications and presentations. So it would have to be a collaborative effort. But my goals would need to be initially embedded for year one. My goals would need to be in the strategic plan for year one. So goals would be centered, of course, around the instrument. If we decided to use the NISBA instrument, it would be centered around district leadership and vision, the academics, and the areas that we noted.
Okay, but we don't, but I'm saying, but so is it begin development of a 5-year strategic plan? Because it's not implementation of an approved 5-year, like, and I would think that the strategic plan is something that the Board of Education formally approves. So we haven't done that yet.
So development, begin development?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And then you did mention, and I highlighted too, initiatives across all 5 strategic priority areas. And I just kind of questioned, well, what are those 5 strategic priority areas?
Student growth and achievement.
Oh, so those are the 5 bullets you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So under student growth and achievement, I broke out areas such as AI integration for learning and the portrait of a graduate to
Okay.
elevate literacy achievement.
Okay, understood.
Right.
Understood, thank you. This just clarifying. Again, it's,
Sure.
reading a lot. You're very close to it and we look at it quickly before we come into meetings. So the evidence of beginning the development of a strategic plan, would the principal action plans aligned with those goals like fall there? I'm not sure anymore, right? If we change that to begin development. So maybe that will shift a little bit.
So last year, the principals had action plans that were formulated from my goals to ensure that we're in alignment and that we can progress monitor as we move forward. So once again, I'll be meeting with the principals next week and the week thereafter, and I will be sharing my goals, and they will be developing their goals and action plans from the bigger picture. So that's what we mean by begin development, which is a great
Okay.
transition.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when I go to AI, I don't know, I became like cautious. I just, I kind of read it as like, we're trying to implement and like use it right away? Or are we trying to figure out how to use it? And so we want to make sure that the teachers know how to implement the use of AI.
Right. So we're looking to design and launch a district-wide initiative. Right now, teachers are implementing it in pockets without a regulation and just using their training, their skills. Some of them have gone out for professional development. But we want to design and launch a district-wide initiative to introduce AI in teaching and learning. And so we're actually looking at a pilot literacy curriculum that we have reviewed this summer. And the emphasis with that is ethical use, and digital decision-making and media literacy. Yes,
Make it consistent with all the staff.
yes. And to also ensure we get the regulation, um, to the policy committee discussed and approved as well.
Okay.
So to answer your question, yes, the board adopts, the goals, that the superintendent and it's a collaborative process. The superintendent provides it and the board adopts it. So yes, they are approved by resolution.
Okay, so we'll adopt it insert it into the tool and then that's what we file, or do we just file the empty tool?
So the tool provides the rubric and the different areas, but they're based on the goals. So they go hand in hand.
So we type them in?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for checking that, John. Under goal 2.2, I mean, I just kind of wrote down why we pick grades 5 and 8 for the pilot. That's the question.
So we strayed away from the earlier grades in terms of capstone projects and the experiences that we will look at in terms of the implementation of the artifacts. So we will be exposing and introducing it to the earlier grades, but we will be piloting it in grades 5 and 8 for an end of year capstone project.
Okay.
More independent learners, but we did not want to infiltrate on the high school because the high school is in transition with regents, with other benchmarks that we want to continue to focus on as we transition from 5 and 8 to the pilot.
Okay, thank you. Under goal 2.3, I just wrote down like measurable goals, by how much, we're saying increased percentage of students meeting or exceeding. It's not defined, and should it be, should we have multiple subgroups if it's by grade and then different subgroups within each grade and each subject so that there's measurable goals?
Right. So quantitatively, we ran into some of those issues where some of this could not be quantified, in time to properly close out the evaluation. So increased percentages of students meeting or exceeding grade level benchmarks on the winter and the spring is still measurable, but it doesn't necessarily have that quantifiable number.
Okay, so you're saying winter and spring, so they do the tests. I'm sorry, you were gonna jump in on when they do the iReady?
Because the evaluation needs to be done before the end of the school year and we don't have all those grades completed at that point?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that was a big problem when we were doing the evaluation last year.
Yeah, I had jotted that too, down that we hadn't seen the results of last year. So we can circle back to that to see how we did do in the 5% goal.
Right, but that wouldn't be an evaluation of this.
No, what I just jotted it down because I was
Yeah.
thinking about the goals and how do you measure, how do you provide, I'm sorry, I think this is ridiculous. You think it's ridiculous to try to put a measurable goal on student achievement or student improvement? Okay, so Leslie, I think this is like the most important part of being a school board trustee. We're finally talking about improving student achievement. So to have a measurable goal seems very standard, and we don't have a percentage goal in here.
Dr. Robert is explaining to you how it is difficult to have that percentage.
Well, that's why we're here having a discussion, right? So so you're telling me I'm ridiculous? I'm
I think
sorry.
there was just some follow-up questions to the explanations that she was giving. You have more to
I
go with?
that we need measurable goals on student achievement in a large group and subgroups. I don't understand how we're gonna measure family engagement, so I would like to understand better how we're gonna have measurable family engagement. I'm not ridiculous.
Dr. Talbot, could you explain how some of those measurable goals are built into certain things? Maybe if Mrs. Nesman had a better understanding of how some of those things, okay? Thank you.
We don't have to be condescending here, do we?
I just apologize. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I'm ready to go.
I'm tired as well, Leslie.
All right, she has questions. She can ask the questions.
So when we look at goal 2.3, it's all about elevating the literacy achievement and the readiness of our students. And so we would like to look at the iReady reading diagnostics for winter and spring for increased percentage of students who are meeting and exceeding. If the board is okay with that language, we can move forward. We certainly internally set progress monitoring goals with quantifiable figures, but the end goal is that we want to elevate it and we want to raise student achievement.
Thank you. And I speak to other administrators in other districts and other states, and they do. They put quantifiable goals in superintendent and goals so that it trickles down. And that's what I'm bringing up, and that's what I would like to see. But I am one voice, and apparently I'm an annoying voice. The ruler practices, I thought we were gonna move away from ruler. I know you explained we're not gonna move away from ruler, but I think we literally sat here and talked about how you were evaluating options for other curriculum instead of ruler, because we had survey feedback from students and staff that ruler doesn't work. And it's still in here as a curriculum, a major curriculum, and a major goal as being the core of what we work around.
So if I can explain 3.1, district culture and learning environment, I am not proposing the program of ruler. I am proposing the practices, that we just not abandon the practices, and I'm not promoting the program, so to speak. So I did say that we're looking to pilot second step and character counts based on feedback that we have gotten from staff and curriculum materials that have been reviewed. But we want to integrate the ruler practices into our SEL instruction.
And that is
With
to
the new curriculum.
maintain consistency, not to just throw everything out. So there will be consistency with our students, correct? That's why you are maintaining the practices.
That's the goal.
Yes.
So on the elementary level, when you say to the kids, the mood meter, how are you feeling? They're familiar with, oh, I'm red, I'm orange, I'm yellow, and they can equate with how they're feeling. So it could be a starter point for an educator to gain insight into where they are. So not to just abandon it, but to integrate it. And on the surveys, the elementary feedback was a little more favorable around ruler. So we're not looking to say, okay, we're doing ruler, but we are looking to acquire and maintain some of the practices that accompanied it. Okay, but we have been looking at second step and character counts. Now with the family and community engagement, just as last year, we looked at the Parent Square communication analytics, and it let us know how many parents were reaching via email, via text. It lets us know how many parents are responding. And so it was a really good tool to see if the high school started out reaching 80% of their parents, they can continue to check and see how they're progressing, or if they're losing parents or gaining parents. So that's one way that we measure our communications. Schools are keeping sign-in sheets for the most part. Some events, it's a little more difficult to have sign-in sheets for parents and district forums. And we use those to kind of measure, are our parents being involved? Are they engaged? Are they coming out? Are they being a part of what the district is doing to reach them? So that's what I mean by family engagement logs and the survey results. Last year, thank you to the board who approved the family liaisons. They were very helpful in terms of calling parents, reminding parents. Some of them walked the community. They distributed flyers. They went to apartments. They did a lot to try to reach parents and let them know that we really wanted them to attend events and be a part of events here in the school district. And last but not least, the operations, finance, and facilities. The evidence there would be the enrollment study findings, the 5-year capital improvement plan, our building conditional surveys. I mean, we're looking at our track, we're looking at our bleachers. You know, we have some improvements that we do need to do, so we want to be able to present to the board some of those items that need attention. Board of Ed presentations on capital improvements, budget documentation, our audit reports, compliance reports, our corrective action plans, those would all be a part of the evidence.
Thank you for entertaining my questions, Dr. Talbert. I hope that the board will have a discussion about the goals when we go to accept them at the next meeting.
Any further discussion on this item? I have one item for new business. Believe it would be better discussed when we have the other board members here. But if Attorney Sheehan could just help summarize the options that we have to fill the current vacancy we have on the board.
Certainly. So there is an option to have an appointment. The board may appoint someone to fill the vacancy. The person who fills the vacancy would serve in that capacity until the next regular election. The other option is to have a special election within 90 days to fill the vacancy. The third option is not a board option. It is appointment by the district superintendent, which is the superintendent of national BOCES. That rarely, if ever, happens. Typically, if the board is unable to operate with an even number of board members, I have experienced that the superintendent of BOCES actually making an appointment. That's very rare, and typically, if it is a short time between the election and the vacancy, the commissioner has reviewed that issue before and said there's no obligation for the board to appoint. But right now you have quite a ways before the election.
And if we ended up holding a special election, would that seat be up again for election, the next election cycle, or would that
would fill
then
the
be
seat
filled
for
for the, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be for a little less than 2 years for whenever
Correct.
that election would happen.
Plus money.
Right. Do we have any ballpark figure on what a special election may cost? Okay.
I've heard others say $20,000.
Okay.
It's expensive.
I've heard that figure, but I've never gone through it and
I-
confirmed it.
We have
Yes,
a
I
community
would
member that
do that.
volunteered to pay that. Yeah.
Did you say within 90 days, John?
Yeah, that's the.
So within 90 days of the resignation, we would have to hold the election.
That's the timeline for the special election. Yeah.
We'd have to act quickly, because I know the board's not here, but I think that would make sense.
It's funny.
And then how long, would that process be for us to even start scheduling that if we went that avenue? Because I know there's deadlines of postings and all that
So
for a
the-
regular election.
So the notice requirements are 45 days before the election to have the notification. So you need, the special election carries everything that a regular election has. Its notice, its ballots, it's everything that a regular election has is part of that special election. That the timeline for notification is the first legal notice goes out 45 days prior to that, the date of the election.
Okay.
I just wanted to comment on a comment that just came from Mrs. Cronin. You said that you would pay for it. I just wanted to inform you that that would be considered a donation and that would have to be board approved.
Okay, it was a good question. Thank you I didn't get a chance to look at your memo, so I didn't see all of that. So we would have to act quickly in order to do so, essentially.
Yeah, so if we can have this as a, I don't know if it'd be under new business or old business for the next agenda, but obviously it wouldn't be an action item because there's no action to be taken yet. Old business, since we spoke about it today, okay?
I have something else for new business. I'm just asking Dr. Talbert to assure that the Amityville Booster Club is meeting all policy requirements.
Which is that? Because I saw that there was another club that was kind of circulating on social media. I don't remember what their
The only booster club that I'm
specific name
familiar
is?
with is for wrestling.
Okay. So I don't remember the name, but I did see another
The
organization.
Dinner,
No, there was another one
Oh.
outside of that. Yeah. I don't remember the name of it exactly, but that's kind of why I asked in my email, which I know it would take some time for them to research it a little bit, but just to get a list of any organizations that are affiliated officially with the school, like approved to be operating kind of
Yes,
alongside with the school.
yeah, I agree, because I think like there is like, and this came up because I started questioning the athletics awards dinner, the organization that you're thinking is a booster club, but it's not. And then, because the flyer has an Amityville logo with the Tide, it almost looks as though it's a district's, affiliated or sponsored committee, and it's not. Not because Dr. Talbot didn't even know about the event. So to really understand what are our committees and our organizations, and then make sure that they're operating under our policies. And if we have to revisit our policies, like, to do so.
And all that being said, I know all schools can benefit from booster clubs, especially one in our financial situation, but it is also important to make sure that those organizations are operating within our policies.
Agreed.
Do you have any idea when you might have that list? Dr. Talbert?
We started discussing it today, but we will research it and we'll provide you ongoing what we discover.
Right, okay. Because as far as I understood, all those organizations have to check in with the superintendent or the designee and would have to follow the gifts from the public policy as well as the use of facilities policy and have the necessary insurance.
And submit activities, a list of activities to the superintendent.
Right.
Yes. So we will
Okay.
certainly continue the exploration of those organizations.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that item? Is there any other new business? Okay, moving on to community input regarding non-board agenda items only.
Janelle Cronin, Amityville. The costs for the pouches are, what are the costs of the pouches?
The cost of the pouches are,
Uh, Approximately $60,000, of which we received some state aid of approximately 15,000, and there's roughly 40,000 in the budget for it. So we're a little bit under budget on that one.
Okay. And just an interesting conversation. So the event that's being, I guess, what's the right word? Looking to celebrate the athletes of Amityville. That is not, is this one of the clubs that, or these organizations that are not, it's all over Facebook. We're coming in October to, they're having a, I guess, a celebration at the high school. It's the Sports Hall of Fame. Is that something that is not under, they have to fill out a facilities paperwork and things of that nature? Is this the same as the Booster Club?
Dr. Talbert?
so any organization that would be utilizing our facilities would need to complete a facilities use form
Okay,
and have the appropriate insurance.
okay. Now, okay, my understanding on that is there's money being collected for the Sports Hall of Fame dinner, correct?
That's what's notated on the flyer.
And the people that are collecting the money are not Amityville employees, correct?
I'm not sure. I need to go back and look at the flyer as, does it say who's collecting the monies?
Uh,
So I think it's just they're not collecting in their capacity as employee. I don't know if they're actually an employee or not, but they're not collecting it on behalf of the Amityville Union Free School District. And they're not acting in their capacity as employee when they're doing it. I think
Okay.
that's the distinction. Whether they're employees or not, we don't know, but they're.
So they're
that's not-
definitely not
but
employees.
It's not a school-sponsored event, and whoever is collecting that money is not collecting it on behalf of the Amityville Union Free School District.
So they're collected in, on behalf of having this celebration of the athletes or whatever they're choosing to do.
All I've seen is the flyer, so that's all I know about.
Okay. And then Megan, I'd like to thank you for bringing up the JK Deli's thing. I had seen that myself. Do they have the proper paperwork on file? It was indicated that they have a new location. Are we paying JK Deli? I feel terrible. They're out of business, but do we have
Mr.
the proper
Snyder?
paperwork?
We're cutting them checks. They're in the vendor file, then they're vetted as a vendor and have to provide all the paperwork. All I can do is pull it and
Okay.
report to the superintendent.
That would be great. I would
Sure.
hate to see the district with a liability. Thank you. Okay.
Rose to the doors. I mean, all right, just really quick question. As the vice president of my union CSEA 2, okay? I just wanted to know, do you know when our one-on-one aides will be appointed or notified what building they will be working at? Because I see we already got it, we approved our monitors. But we haven't heard anything from our one-on-one aides, so they were just asking me. I told them I will find out if there's anything on the agenda tonight, which is not, so I just wanted to make sure it'll be approved. I don't know what day will be approved. I guess the next board meeting.
Ms. Stevens will respond.
We do expect them to be on the 8/25 board meeting. Ms. Lopez is working with me as far as the matches. And she's also working with the business office as far as the hours. So we're finalizing those details and then they should be appointed on the 25th.
So the 24th
25th.
or the 25th. But the members, the union members will be getting in their letter before they get approved or after the board meeting the 25th?
They would be getting their assignment letter. Is that what you're asking? They would get it after the board approval.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, see no further community input items. Moving on to reports. Legal, do you have anything to report?
Nothing, not right now.
Any Board of Education members have anything to report?
Not at this time.
Comment? If we
Yes.
can have all board members just to remain for a moment to obtain your signature on the tax levy resolution prior to you leaving this evening, we'd appreciate it. Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Will do, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:04 PM? In a second. All those in favor? Meeting adjourned at 10:05 PM. Thank you.